Hi, this is Mrs. Knopf, and today we are going to continue in our method book with line 45, Ode to Joy. So let's start at the beginning and see what we have. As always, we start with our treble clef, and then we have our time signature. We are in 4/4 time, which tells us we have 4 beats in each measure, and the bottom number means that we have 4 beats for every whole note, if we had one. But we're going to use that information to break everything else down. So if I had a whole note that got 4 beats, half of a whole is a half, and half of 4 is 2. So your half notes get 2 beats. Then half of a half is a quarter, half of 2 is 1, so the quarter notes get 1 beat. And then we have some eighth notes. So half of a quarter is an eighth, and half of 1 is half. So with these eighth notes that we have in the third line, it takes 2 of them to take up the same amount of time as a quarter note. So each gets half of a beat. Next, let's look for patterns in our notes. So we're going to start with 2 E's that are quarters, and we're just moving up and down in a stepwise pattern. So we have 2 E's, first and second valve, then F, 2 open G's, then we come back down, F, E, D, try to kick out that third valve slide if you can for the D, 2 C's, D, E, then a half note E, half note D. At the end of the first line, we have a double bar line, and this tells us that we are finishing up one section of music and starting a new one. So we go to the second line, and I notice that we have this funky percent sign. So we're just going to note that it's there, and we'll come back to it. So if you notice, the second line is almost identical to the first line until we get to the last measure, and now we have a half note D and a half note C. Well, this time we have the word fine, which means the end, we're done, and there's a final bar line. But clearly we are not done yet because there's another line of music. So we're going to continue. On the third line, we start with 2 quarter note D's, kick that slide out, up to an E, skip to a C, and then D, E, F, E, C, then D, E, F, E, D, C, D, skip up to that half note G. Now at the end of the third line, we have another double bar line. So we finished up another section of music, and we have DS al fine. DS is an abbreviation for dal segno, which is a fancy way of saying the sign. And so the dal segno is this sign at the beginning of line 2. So we're going to go back and play line 2 again, and we're going to go until we see fine, DS al fine. So when we play, we are going to play all 3 lines, 1, 2, 3, and then we go back and play line 2 again. So I'm going to start my metronome. It's going to be at 100 beats per minute. I want you to try to play along with me and start each note with a t sound. That way each note is clean and easy to hear and understand. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready? And that's it for line 45, Ode to Joy. I hope you were able to keep up with me. If not, if you were having trouble with any of it, then take those sections that give you the most trouble, slow them down, and just try to work it out, maybe 1 or 2 beats at a time. And then when you're comfortable, you can speed it up, you can put it all back together. But I hope this is helpful, and we'll see you next time.